Also, heads up about that Gadget River Bridge. Yesterday, late in the middle of the night, let's see, I heard about it, and that was in the state of Washington, and they said it sounded like 1,000 children screaming. I want to thank Lori from Washington who gave me the heads up on it. They didn't know, but the power might have been out before it collapsed, and people went into the water. I don't know how many people heard about that one, but the bridge collapsed, and it was a part of the I-5 to Canada, and that's the only way to get into Canada. So heads up. So you're in that Washington area. I think it was Mount Vernon area. Alright, heads up over there. No fatalities, but a lot of people went into the water, and now you can't get to Canada. That's a main route to Canada. So heads up on that. Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is May 24th, 2013, and here is your news updates for today. Alright, we're going to try to make this as fast as I can, because I'm going to try to attach Dr. Deagle to this from last Friday. Churykrantyn volcano erupts in Kuril Islands of Far East Russia. Airborne H7N9 bird flu found to spread through the air. Deep 8.3 magnitude earthquake strikes Sea of Okhotsk in Russia, Far East. Shallow 5.7 Northern California earthquake felt across 2 states. Alert level raised on Chile's Caju volcano to orange after ash emissions. Moving on, that was the Extinction Protocol 2012 and beyond. Moving on now to the watchers watching the world. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see, there is waterspout passes close to obstinate nuclear power plant in Russia. And that was today. That's the watchers watching the world. Seismic waves of deep 8.3 trembler of Okhotsk Sea detected across U.S. Geomagnetic storm in progress, subsiding solar radiation storm. And that's today. New study reveals how glyphosate in Monsanto's Roundup inhibits natural detoxification in human cells. Heads up, stay away from Roundup. That's from Monsanto. Also, May 25th, tomorrow, millions worldwide to march against Monsanto and GMO. Also today, increase in seismic activity at Caju volcano, Chile. Alert level back to orange. And then let's see what else they have. Strong and deep earthquake magnitude 7.4 struck Tonga. Anything else going on? Strong S3 solar radiation storm in progress. That was yesterday. Sorry about yesterday. I couldn't get out because of the it was too flooded around where I was. It's hard. This is getting harder and harder. Alright. E&E News, Fukushima, Japan. Radiation levels outside Fukushima exceeded the annual limit for nuclear workers. Residents now demanding help. And that was on the 21st. Let's move on now to U.S. Canada. Not a lot of news coming out of Fukushima, out of the E&E News recently. Yesterday, experts incipient collapse of radioactive waste tanks possible at U.S. nuclear site. Alright. So, it is 5 days down. I can't even get back to where I can see. Here we go. 5 days down. It is Memorial Day weekend. Take care, and I'll see you on the flip side tomorrow. Stay tuned. I'm attaching Dr. Bill Deagle's earth changes from the last time he did it.
Well, the Sharon Harris nuclear plant shut down because of cracking in the containment vessel Then we'll talk about the meteor exploding and lots of other stuff. Popa in Mexico.
Well, okay.
Volcano in Mexico City about to literally blow, and it did blow apparently at midnight.
Yeah, let's talk about Sharon Harris Nuclear Plant. That's in the Piedmont of North Carolina, and it's a Westinghouse installation. Now, it, a year ago, okay, let's talk a year ago, a full year ago, in the spring of 2012, they had taken ultrasonic data during a shutdown, during a maintenance shutdown. And I guess they took a year to discover a corrosion inside the containment vessel. Now, the containment vessel is the part that holds the nuclear reaction. And there's corrosion on one of the bolts of the vessel head. So the vessel head is the top of the reaction chamber. So, and it says in 212 they saw this is a reminder of the Davis-Besse nuclear power station in Ohio, which had a grapefruit-sized cavity in the reactor vessel. So they think they caught it early enough, and there was no indication that radioactive water leaked out of the vessel. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe if you don't look for it, you aren't going to find it, right? And
right.
The vessel head repairs will take place in a highly radioactive area, so they'll use remotely operated robotics. And they're going to scrape out the corroded material and welding in the area, and like a dental cavity, and will be performed by technical specialists. Now, this plant was issued in October of 1986, and then in December of 2008, so we're only talking 96, 2006, 2008, so we're talking 22 years. They renewed the license for 40 years. And this was, now they're having to go in and maintain it. And so I suspect the maintenance during the second half of its life is going to be a lot. And, every time it's maintained, it's out of commission, it's not producing power, and so the margin cost of this reactor is going to increase substantially. But, so that those people that live in the Piedmont areas of the East Coast, that radiation could go any place. Right now there's a low that's going over the I wanted to look at it.
You're actually looking at the data right now, yeah.
Yeah, there's a low. Well, actually, it's all highs. So the radiation, if it were to blow, the radiation would probably go south into Florida. So that's the bad news there. All right, on to the next subject, Dr. Bill.
Yeah, there's a comet an asteroid that's going to pass us. It's 1.7 miles across on May 31st, and you have a possible CME impact also May 17th coming up. That's literally today. And this one is geocentric. It's basically aimed at us. So we have a lot of space weather issues going on. This is the year of the comet. There's also the ISON is going to be really big. According to Professor McCanny, we tried to get him on today. I don't know if we're lucky to get him on at the bottom of the hour. We're going to try to get Professor McCanny, so we'll see if our board op Don can do that. The issue, he thinks it's a 2,600 kilometer across comet, and it's going to be a sun grazer. It'll pass 700,000 kilometers. This 1.7 mile kilometer one is actually so big, and they think it was a sun grazer, that it got melted by passing near the sun. That's why it has this dark, gunky material on this asteroid. It's big, and it's going to pass pretty close to the Earth. Well, give us the latest on that and on the CME that's going to hit us today, and the other grazer one that was already fired off 2 days ago that's going to hit us as well.
Well, initially they didn't think the CME was going to hit us. They thought it was going to hit a couple of the spacecraft missions that NASA has going on, because it was shot off from Sunspot AR 1748 when it was on the backside of the sun. And so they said, yeah, it shot off some CME, and but we don't think it'll be Earth directed. Well, then they came out yesterday and they said, well, we might have some CME effects today, and so we're waiting for those effects. I guess it hasn't hit yet. That sunspot has been very active, and in about, well, I would say by Tuesday it'll be in the center of the solar disk. And when it's in the center of the solar disk, that means that any flares or CME that it produces will be Earth-directed. So
Yeah.
Now, the sun is above the equator, so not only will it be Earth-directed, it'll be Northern Hemisphere-directed, and will probably give us Northern Aurora Borealis. And we already have Aurora Borealis down as far as the top part of Missouri, although they're very faint at that point. They're brighter up in Canada. So we already have an active atmosphere. We have an active ionosphere, and that's from the flares that this sunspot has given off. It's given off 4 flares, X-rated flares, in the last 3 days, and they seem to think it's going to continue to produce flares and CMEs.
Yeah, in fact, according to Professor McKenna, he expects the ISON to really speed up the post-ISON passage of the sun to cause flares for maybe several years, major superstorms on the sun. So it won't just be one event passage, it'll be a whole series of superstorms that'll continue for many months after the ISON passage.
Okay, that'll be in November, December time.
Yeah, October it'll actually be passing near the moon, Mars. And he says it'll take over 30 days for the tail to pass through Mars, so they're going to get a lot of toxins, a lot of impact part of the tail, which will include a debris field. And then it's going to be a sun grazer, which means it'll trigger off major plasma exchanges between this highly charged object passing near the sun, which means we're going to have solar superstorms. And any of these sunspots, as it rotates in about a 29-day cycle, I think it is?
27.
27, yeah. The sun rotates around almost like a lunar cycle, which is 28 days. The sun rotates around, so it's like a guy standing on a platform that rotates with a shotgun. And if he rotates in our direction, it's Earth-centric, which is why this one today that went off is actually going to hit us in a couple of days' time. Will hit us directly, but it's not as big as the one that was fired off on the 15th, 2 days ago.
Right. Well, it's rotated onto the solar disk, but it's still far east. Now, in addition, we've probably forgotten about Comet Lemon, but you don't want to forget about it because it's still close to the solar system, and in fact, there was a disconnection event. Now, what's a disconnection event, you're probably asking? Comet Lemon disconnected from its tail.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing, and I think it was due to the CME effect.
Wow. Amazing. Stay tuned. Ann Morrison, our scientist, back in a moment. Discussions, if you have questions on any of these topics, call in 800-259-5791, 800-259-5791. All hours are open except the first hour on Friday where we answer your questions. Welcome back, and we have Glenn in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You had a question, comment, or statement to make. Go ahead. And I think you mentioned some of this on John Moore's show because he's on 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time with his co-host, Ann Morrison. Go ahead, Glenn, in Philly. You're on the air.
Thank you, Dr. Deagle. Yeah, I think this is a worthy of mention, at least anthropologically, sociologically, and spiritually. We're about to come to the end of a 10-year period, the end of an internet phenomenon in the window between May 20th and June 1st when Cliff High's halfpasthuman.com webbot project comes to an end during the period during which he's predicting the beginnings of a global coastal event, which he's saying is actually a process that could take several years, where that will involve earthquakes and the cracking of tectonic plates and all that and the deaths of up to 1.289 billion people per his number. And he had been involved remote viewers in this, but his process is one of sampling the internet through these programs called spiders that crawl the web and call up a bunch of linguistic and statistical data, which he interprets various ways. So it's either global coastal event or bust between May 20th and June 21st.
I'm going to summarize it. The Web Bio Project characterized me as definitely on the inside CIA or some form of government op. So big mistake right there, number one. Number two, I consider using this technology as a form of electronic